Okay, so definition for a hyperbola. A hyperbola is a collection of all the points in a plane that have the same difference, whose distance is from two fixed points called the foci. So instead of, I didn't say anything, instead of adding, what are we doing today? Subtracting. That's why we're going to use the word difference. And we're still going to be from two fixed points called the foci. Are we good there? We're going to come over here where it says specifics. And they are going to change something today. And I don't know why they do this. Instead of calling it the major axis today, they want to call it the transverse axis. But it means the same thing. So right here where it says specifics, the line containing the foci is called the transverse axis. It's the exact same thing that we used to call the major axis for the ellipse. So the equation is the same, 2 times a. You'll notice it's right here in the picture, transverse axis. So the transverse axis is going to have your foci on it, and it's also going to have your vertices on it. So if I ask you how long the transverse axis is, it's going to be from vertex to vertex. Okay? And then you probably want to write down this formula. This is the new formula I'm going to use. I'm not going to use the back formula today. It's a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Okay? We're calling the major axis the transverse, and we're going to call the minor axis the conjugate axis. Again, they gave it a new name. Not quite sure why. Doesn't really matter at this point. I just need to know it. So it's also going to have the same formula that the minor axis did, 2 times b. So from covertex to covertex. These are the endpoints of the minor axis. Okay, the next thing you're going to hopefully notice in here is if you go put a dot where the vertices are for me and the covertices. Instead of drawing an ellipse this time, what shape did I draw? A rectangle, a box. So this time we're going to draw a box. And after we draw the box, through the diagonals, we're going to draw asymptotes. And they're going to ask you to find the equation of these asymptotes. Well, these asymptotes are just lines. And if I ask you an equation of a line, all lines need a slope and a y-intercept. So one way to write the equation of an asymptote is y equals mx plus b. If you know the slope and you know the y-intercept, you just plug them in. So remember, m is your slope, your rise over run, b is your y-intercept, you get it right off your picture. If you don't know the y-intercept, then you're going to use your point slope formula that you learned in Algebra 1 and Algebra 2. You're going to use the one on top more often because you're going to usually be able to see the y-intercept. This one's down here just in case you can't find it, in case your graph's not big enough. Okay, the last thing we're going to write down before we start doing some problems is we said we're going to have how many types of hyperbolas? 2. We're going to have a horizontal hyperbola. And we're going to have a vertical hyperbola. And no matter what did we say? They're both going to equal 1. And the really important part is there's going to be a minus sign in the middle. They're both going to have a minus sign. And A is not the biggest. This is an ellipse. A is always what? It's always first. It's always going to be your first denominator. A is always first. It's not going to be the biggest anymore. I know this one is horizontal because the x variable came first. And I know this one is vertical because the y variable came first. So when you're looking at an equation, if they write the x first, it's horizontal. If they write the y first, it's vertical. everything else works just like it did with the ellipses. All right, you ready to do some problems and get done? All right, flip it over. So example number 1, it says find the equation of a hyperbola with a center at the origin, one focus at 3, 0, and a vertex at -2, 0, and then they want me to graph it. So let's just go do the graph first. So when you graph this, you're going to do it just like we did an ellipse to start off with. What's my center? Always do that first. 0, 0. Okay. And now we're going to go graph the focus. It's at 3, 0. 1, 2, 3. Label it with an F. Where would the other focus be?
-3.
Yeah, -3, 0. I'm going to label that one. Okay. They also gave me a vertex at -2, 0, which means I have another vertex at +2, 0. So I know a lot already. I know that it's going to be horizontal because my vertex and my focus are going left and right. And I know that the origin is the center, so I'm not going to have any parentheses at all. In order to finish the graph, I need to find my covertex. Did they tell me anything about the covertex? No, okay. But because they gave me the vertex and the focus, they gave me 2 of my letters. They gave me A and they gave me C. I have to go find B. Remember, A is the distance from the center to the vertex. So how far apart are these?
3.
We're going to go with 2. And C is the distance from the center to the focus. How far apart are those? 3. And now I'm going to use my formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared, to find my B. So A squared is 4. I don't know B squared. C squared is 9. B squared equals 5, so B is the square root of 5. Now, what is the square root of 5 approximately? 2 something. Very good. So I'm going to go up 2 something, and that's a covertex. And I'm going to go down 2 something, and that's a covertex. They don't normally label the covertex. What you're going to do now is you're going to take these 4 points, the 2 vertices and the 2 covertex, and you're going to make a box out of them. So we're going to go connect these. Notice that it's dotted because it's imaginary. Okay, so you're going to do it with just the vertices, the A's and the B's. And now you're going to draw an asymptote that goes through the diagonals in both directions. Okay, to draw the hyperbola, you have to go put your pencil on a vertex. Everybody go put your pencil on the right vertex, not the focus, but the vertex. And you have to make it go as wide as the asymptotes above it and below it. If you make it really, really skinny, it's wrong. It's got to be as wide as the asymptotes. That's the whole reason we draw them. Then I go over here to the other side and I do the exact same thing. Okay, I have officially done graphing. Now I just have to write my equation. It's horizontal, so which letter comes first, x squared or y squared? X squared. And because I'm at 0, 0, I don't need any parentheses. I also know that I have to have a minus sign, and it has to equal 1. If you make a plus sign here, it's wrong. If you forget to make it equal 1, it's wrong. Underneath the first one is always a squared. What's a squared? A is 2, so what's a squared? 4. B squared always goes under the y. What's b squared? 5. And you're done. Graph equation. Easy?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go do another one. Let's go look at this one. On example 2, they don't ask me to graph. They just want me to write down these answers. So I'm going to do as many as I can without graphing, and then go to my graph if I need it. So they want to know the center. There's no parentheses, so what's the center? 0, 0. They want to know the foci. Well, I know that's going to be 2 points. I don't know what they are yet. They want the endpoints of the transverse axis. All right, well, let's think back to what we did earlier. I said from here to here was the transverse axis. So when they ask me for the endpoints of the transverse, what are they really asking me for? The vertex. Okay, so right here, when they're asking you for the endpoints of the transverse, they're really asking you for the vertex. They're just trying to be fancy. I don't know why. Okay, I'm going to abbreviate. I'm going to write transverse axis endpoints. And I'm going to have 2. And I know they're going to be my vertex. And they also want the endpoints of the conjugate axis. Conjugate axis. What are those going to be? The covertex. So what letter am I going to need in order to find the focus? Nope, focus is not A. What letter is going to give me the focus?
C.
The C. So we'll put a little C there to remind yourself. If the transverse axis is the same as the vertex, what letter do I need for the transverse axis? Good. No, A. And if the conjugate axis is like the covertex, what letter do I need here? V. Okay, what letters do I have? What is A? 4. What is B? 2. How do I find C? A squared plus what? B squared. Okay, well, what is A squared? What is B squared? What's 16 plus 4? So C equals the square root of 20. Can that be simplified? Yeah. Where do couples go? Out. So it's 2 square roots of 5. Okay, I have everything I need to answer the question. You just have to tell me, do you want to do it on a graph or do you want to do it without the graph? Okay, so if we're going to do it without the graph, is this horizontal or vertical? That means my vertices are going left and right. And I'm going to go left and right how many? 4. So 4, 0, negative 4, 0, because I went left and right from 0, 0. My co-vertices are my B's, and that's going to take me up and down how many? 2. And we said co-vertices was the same as the conjugate axis endpoints. So every time you see conjugate axis, they're asking for your co-vertex. So I'm going to go up and down 2, which would give me what points?
0, 2, 0, negative 2.
Yeah. Now your focus have to go the same direction as the vertex, so the same way as the transverse axis. So I'm going to go which way 2 square roots of 5? Up and down or left and right? Left and right. So I'm going to go positive 2 square root of 5, and I'm going to go negative 2 square root of 5. You did it without a graph. Good job. And that's it. So we did one with a graph, and now we just did one without a graph. Let's go look at example 3. Example 3, they want me to go graph it. They don't ask me any questions, they just say graph it. In order to graph it, I know it's a hyperbola because I have an x squared and a y squared, and I have a subtraction. But what is it supposed to equal?
1.
So what do I do to make this equal 1? Divide everything by 4. Good. So that's going to leave me with y squared over 4 minus x squared. What is x squared over that I don't always write?
1.
So you can write it or not, it's up to you, equals 1. Now they want me to graph it, so I'm going to graph the whole thing and just label as I go. So where is the center at because there's no parentheses? 0, 0. What is my A in this problem?
2.
What is my B?
1.
So what do I still have to go find? C. Remember, C squared equals A squared plus B squared. This is A squared, this is B squared, so what's 4 plus 1? 5. So C is the square root of 5. Do I have everything I need to graph it? Okay. Which way should I go to? Up and down, because the y came first. Good. So I'm going to go up to, put a point, label it with a V, down to, put a point, label it with a V. Those are my vertices, or the endpoints of the transverse axis. Then I'm going to go which way with my B? Left and right. And what do I go do with those 4 points? Yep, make a box. And then through the diagonals, I'm going to go draw the asymptotes. They want the equations of these lines now. Can I get the slope and the y-intercept of this line by looking at my picture? What's the y-intercept? 0, 0. How much did I go up?
2.
How much did I go over? 1. So the y is equal to 2x. So what's this other one equal to? This line.
Negative 2.
Yeah, y equals negative 2x. Okay, so I did the equations of both of those. Let's go draw our curves. Put your pencil on a vertex. I'm going to pick the top one. I need to be as wide as the asymptote to the left and the right. Same thing on the bottom. What else needs to be labeled that I haven't labeled? The focus. Which way should the focus go? It's got to go with the vertex. Which way is the vertex going? Up and down. So I have to go square root of 5 up. What is square root of 5? Y'all told me earlier? 2 something. So I need to go a little above 2 and a little below 2. Done. That's it? We good? I think so. Okay, example 4. On example 4, we're not going to graph it. I only want one thing. I want to know what is the center. Can you give me the center the way it's written right now?
No.
No. Guess what we get to go do?
The box.
Complete the square. I know you're excited. Okay, so when we go complete the square, you have to put your y's together and your x's together. And you have to put the one that's positive first. So what's positive, the y squared or the x squared? So I have to go put 4y squared minus 16y. And then I have to go put my x's together, negative x squared minus 2x. And I have to move that 11 to the other side, so now it's a negative 11. We said when we complete the square that the number in front of the y squared has to be a 1 and a positive. So what do I have to divide these two y's by? 4. So I'm going to have y squared minus 4y plus blank, because I'm going to complete the square. And I'm going to go to the next group. It's a 1, but I need a positive 1. So I need to divide by negative 1. And I get x squared plus 2x plus blank equals negative 11 plus blank plus blank. I ran out of room, so I went vertical. Do you remember how to get these? The blanks?
2 factors.
Half it, square it. So what's half of negative 4? And what's negative 2 squared? So that number's 4. And I go do it over here. What's half of 2? And what's 1 squared? 1. Then whatever I added to the left, I have to add to the right. But be careful. You didn't really add a 4. You added 4 times 4. So what did you really add to this one? 16. And you didn't really add a 1 over here. You added negative 1 times 1. Okay. So I've got 4 squared minus 1 squared equals, what is negative 11 plus 16 minus 1? You have calculators.
4.
It's 4. All right, so here we go. What factors of 4 give me negative 4?
Negative 2.
Negative 2. Very good. Negative 2, negative 2. What factors of 1 give me 2? 1 and 1. So I know it's a hyperbola because there's a minus sign right here. But what does this have to equal?
1.
1. So I have to divide everything by 4. We're almost done. So if I divide all this by 4, I get y minus 2 squared over 1 minus x plus 1 squared over 4 equals 1. And all I wanted was the center. Be careful. What do you think the center is?
Negative 1.
Negative 1, positive. You know you're the first person all day to get it right. What do you think people say to me the first time? They say 2 negative 1 because they don't remember that they wrote it backwards, right? You want to write your x's first and we write the opposite. So it's negative 1, positive 2. Nice job. Okay, one problem left. Go look at example 5. On example 5, all they want you to do is write the equation. But this time the center is not at the origin. Where is it at? So I'm going to just sketch out my information. I'm not going to graph the whole thing. So here's my center. So am I going to need parentheses this time?
Yes.
Yep, I am. But I don't know if X or Y should come first yet because I don't know which way it goes yet. So I got to keep graphing. I have a focus at 4, -2. So 1, 2, 3, 4. I know which direction it goes now. Which direction does it go? Left and right. So I can go ahead and write that part of my equation. I know the X is going to come first, minus the Y is going to come second, and I know it has to equal 1. And when I go write my X and Y in here, I look at my center, and do I do what it says or the opposites? So what's going to go in here? X what?
-1.
-1, and then I'm going to have Y plus 2. Just knowing that's going to get rid of some answer choices on your test. They gave me the center and the focus. Did they give me A, B, or C? If they give me the center and the focus, what letter is that?
C.
It's C. How far apart are those?
4.
Nope. 3. So my C is 3. Okay. They also gave me a vertex, and the vertex is at 3, -2. If they give you the vertex, did they give me A or B?
A.
And what is A? No, how far is it from the center? 2. Can I write some more of my equation now? Yeah, because A squared always comes first, so what's going to go under the first fraction? 4. As soon as I get B squared, I'm done because I didn't have to graph it. So I'm going to use my new formula, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So 4 plus B squared equals 9. So B squared equals 5. Do I want B squared or B for the equation? B squared. So I'm just going to put a 5. If I asked you to graph it, then you need B.
Yes.
All right, let's look at the homework. This is due Wednesday. We talked about this earlier. Talked about this last week, that we were going to have 2 worksheets due on the same day. The first page is all notes, so just turn the page. I'm going to get rid of some. So we are going to do all of 13 through 16 because those are matching problems, and you're going to get those right. In the next section, 17, 19, and 21, you're going to write an equation and graph. You can get rid of 23 and 25. So I got rid of 2 there. 23 and 25, yep. In the next section, all you have to do is graph, because you're going to label all this stuff. If you label it, you don't need to go write it down too. Just graph it and label as you go. You're going to do 27, 29, 31, get rid of 33. Good? Okay, turn the page. You're going to go ahead and do 35 and 37. That's just writing an equation. That's all you have to do. Write the equation. And then on 39 and 41, you're going to write an equation and graph. Those are the last 2 you have to do. You can mark out everything after 41, even the whole back. How many worksheets are due on Wednesday? 2. The circle worksheet and this worksheet. And is it in Google Classroom on one form? Yes. What are you going to have in class tomorrow? What am I giving y'all? No. A quiz.